When the stories about Congressman Conyers came out, everyone seemed to be surprised by how this was happening. Were you just finding out about this as well?
Well, you know, nothing kind of surprises you in Congress because the swamp, you know, what they do is they typically don't disappoint you on some of the bad stuff. But I think the existence of this secret process was something that I felt was an injustice, and I think it was unfair to taxpayers. And then to have somebody like a Conyers who's using his office budget, the taxpayer funds he gets to represent his constituents, and instead using it to cover his own misconduct and camouflaging that, I thought that was an outrage. A lot of the American people thought that was an outrage, so we had to do something about it.
And so when it comes to the calls for resignation, do you think that these are the appropriate way to do it, or the way that leadership has responded by referring all these things to the ethics committee? Is that the right way to do it?
Well, look, this ethics committee, that's a way to bury some of this stuff, and I just don't think it's proven to be very effective with it. So when Franken is volunteering to go to the ethics committee, that should tell you something. I mean, he's doing that because he thinks that'll let him hold on to his job.
The response that we've seen in Congress to these sorts of allegations versus the response that we've seen in the private sector, where people are actually losing their jobs over serious allegations, is vastly different, to say the least. Do you think this speaks to some sort of a double standard between some congressmen and their voters?
Well, I think that you have an arrogance amongst the political class where many of them think they deserve special treatment and special rules, and I think that that's unacceptable. I mean, you know, Congress needs to abide by all the laws that the rest of the public is abiding by. But I will say on this, I'm not sure how good the private sector had been on this in years past. I mean, NBC, I think they knew a lot about this. It was only when it got to a boiling point that they finally acted. So maybe that will happen here with the Congress. You know, the practice had been the secret settlements, use the taxpayer dollars to cover misconduct, let people get off without there having any real public consequences. Maybe that's no longer tenable. At least I'm hoping that that's the case with our bill. So we actually may be able to follow suit and see some of the business and the entertainment and the media, and maybe if my bill's signed into law, I think we will see more accountability.
So it'll be just one more case of the government doing something slower than the private sector.
Exactly.
How do you keep things like this from happening in Congress going forward?
I think having more manageable bills that are transparent, that gives you the ability to really represent your constituents well. So we got to move away from the omnibus process, move away from the last-minute bills, and actually legislate the way the founders intended.
It also keeps the potential harassers toe in line, right?
Well, you know, look, at the end of the day, we have some underbrush that I think could be cleared out with this bill. That'll be good. It'll ultimately be good for those members' constituents, but it's also good for the rest of the Congress because there's a cloud hanging over. So we should want sunlight to be the best disinfectant, and then the members who've conducted themselves well, then their constituents will know that.